Carrie was born on April 24th, 1957. Beautiful baby, and incredible in comparison with some of the others we had. Yeah, he was a good baby, a really good baby.
If I have to reflect on what kind of a child I was, I would say I was a fun kid, but I was also a quiet kid. I grew up in a home with a mother who's from Germany. I'm not going to say it was overly strict in the home, but there were rules and you followed them. For example, we had a back door that went out into the backyard, and whenever we wanted to go out and play, if that back door slammed, my mom would just say one word and we had to go back to that door and we had to open it and close it 10 times quietly, you know? So who wants to dance out of line when you have that kind of a consequence?
Carrie is a total mama's boy, we found out through this process. He loves his dad and he admires his dad, but he's a mama's boy.
He walked 3 blocks to elementary school unless he had her picture in his pocket.
Yep, I had to get a picture and put it in his wallet when he was going to Adelaide Elementary School.
My mom, she wouldn't take crap from anybody. I remember in 2nd grade something happened and she was right over at the school and she was letting him have it. You know, you treat my kids with respect. My dad is the greatest guy on the planet. If I could be half the man that he is, boy, I'd be a great guy. We just had a great home life. There were 6 kids. You know, we were all very close.
Carrie was a very, how can I say, a concerned brother, always looking out for his other siblings, always kind of like a mother hen in a way, I guess, is a good way to say. He was always more concerned about us than he was himself. Always wanted to make sure that we were always okay. And we were in California one time, and Carrie, I don't know if you know, Carrie was an avid swimmer. I loved swimming, and so we decided to go. We were at our grandparents in California, and we were deciding to, he said, let's go out and swim out in the ocean. And I said, no, there's sharks. And he's like, no, there's no sharks, come on out there. So he convinced me to go out there. It was early in the morning, and I was kind of young, really young. I was probably maybe, I don't know, 7 maybe. And Carrie's like, hey, let's go out here. Just, you know, be careful. If you start getting in trouble, let me know. Well, we started swimming around, and being as young as I was, I didn't understand what a riptide was, or an undertow, or an undercurrent. So I'm just swimming along. Next thing I know, some gravity or something was pulling me, and I was just heading out to sea. I was in the water, and I was on my way out. And I knew I was in trouble. And all I remember is seeing a hand. All I remember is the hand reaching down. Reaching down and grabbing me. And kept me from going out to sea. Probably one of my best, because I don't think I'd be here today if it wasn't for him. I think that would have taken me further out than I wanted to be. But I'll never forget the hand.
Right when he was in junior high and high school, he was always interested in the downbeaten one, the one that was bullied, the one who didn't have a lot of friends. And he always went out of his way to include these people, to be friends with them, and be very kind to them.
Carrie is not the kind of person to let the grass grow underneath his feet. So it wasn't any surprise to me when you find out how quickly he moved when he met Stacy.
I had been set up on so many blind dates, because here I was, 27, and a menace to society, because I wasn't married, right? At least that's what people said.
We both had mutual friends in my neighborhood where she taught at my school, the wife, and the husband was in a band with him when he was a kid, and they just thought we'd be perfect.
And we both turned them down, said, no, thanks, not anymore. They just kept pushing and kept pushing and pushing. Both of us finally said, all right, we'll do this last gig for you, that's it. I was over at their apartment, and I heard a knock at the door. I went and opened the door, and there she was, this beautiful, radiant redhead, holding a sack of zucchinis. And boy, that was it. I was smitten just like that.
So we both did it, and the rest is history. Our first year of marriage was a little different than we expected because I was pregnant within a week. We thought we were going to have a little time just by ourselves, you know, but once you're pregnant, you're not, and you're kind of sick and you're not feeling good, but he was an angel.
My first child was Whitney. She was born March 12th, 1986. My son Dane, and he was born April 19th, 1989, so 3 years later.
How is Carrie as a dad? Well, at first I was a little nervous because his two sisters had had babies the year before me, and he wouldn't hold them.
Literally, I'd have to walk over. When I had my first two sons, I'd have to literally walk over, and he'd be sitting on the couch or something, and I'd have to walk over and set him on him, and he would never hold him, and if they just fell off, he didn't care. He wouldn't hold him.
In fact, one time, one of the sisters put the baby, when it was like 3 months old, on his stomach when he was lying on the floor, and of course they're gonna roll off. And it started to roll, and he wasn't gonna grab it. We had to. I mean, he just wanted that first experience of holding a baby, our baby.
I think every man on this planet who has children, specifically maybe a daughter first, he knows exactly how I felt. I mean, you are the proudest guy on the planet.
That's our best production yet, was having kids. That's what he said.
When I was little, I would hide from my dad, and I was the worst at hiding. Like, I hid under a blanket one time, and I'm like hiding, and he goes, oh, what's this blanket? Oh, I think it's some garbage. I should take this out. So he literally picks me up under the blanket, and I'm like screaming, like, Dad, don't do it. I'm in here. And he takes me all the way to the garbage can and almost puts, like, literally I'm hovering over the garbage can, and I'm thinking he's gonna throw me away. Like, that's who my dad was. Like, we tickled to the point where I couldn't breathe. I remember that. It'd be the spider. The spider's gonna get you. And I remember couldn't breathe half the time. I was definitely a daddy's girl. Definitely a daddy's girl.
I keep having this memory in my head of my dad in my childhood. I was in the latter years of elementary school, 5th, 6th grade maybe, and there was a particular student that was being picked on, and my dad was picking me up from school that day, and he saw this taking place, and he rushed down, and you know, when my dad talks to children, they knew what to do. They stopped immediately, and my dad was kind of the hero for the day, for the week. Everybody remembered, oh, your dad was the dad that stopped that fight over there. Like, that was really cool to me, that my dad was kind of the hero.
There are a lot of interesting facts I got to learn about Mr. Moore through this filming process, and one of them was that he actually didn't marry Stacy until after he started working at Cypress. Also, we learned early on that he didn't want to be a teacher initially. He wanted to go into architecture. So it's interesting how things can transpire in your life to take you down a different path.
I loved music. I loved architecture. Those are the two things that I studied intently in high school. My goal was to become the next Frank Lloyd Wright. And so I was really just intensely focused on architecture. Took all the AP calculus and physics and, you know, the drafting classes and whatnot.
He has had a real interest in designing clothes, women's clothes.
Yeah, I did. I like designing things. I like creating things. And, you know, if you've watched Devil Wears Prada, is that the movie? You know, I mean, that whole industry is all about design and creating, and it's just fascinating.
He graduated with his, it sounds terrible, Bachelor's of Science, BS, right? And then he wanted to go in for his master's at the university.
I studied over in Germany at in my senior year at the University of Utah. I opted to go with a study abroad program, and I went to Kiel, Germany, and studied at the University of Kiel, called Christian Albrechts Universität, and spent quite a while over there.
He was over there studying, and that was one of his highlights. He loved that. That was he always talked about that, but he never ever shared this with me. So we're driving along, and he was telling me that how he had gone to a gym one time, and he was in working out, doing his workout, and when he was finished, he was in showering.
It was just a wall with shower heads coming out of it and drains, no partitions or anything like that. I mean, why would you? Because it's all men, right? So I'm in there showering, and I'm washing my hair with shampoo, and I heard the door open, and just, you know, rinsing my hair and everything, shampooing, and all of a sudden I hear this voice asking in German, "Can I borrow some of your shampoo?" And it was a female voice.
I had this vision in my mind of Kerry shampooing his hair and standing there trying to figure out what this woman is doing in his shower.
That sent a jolt right through me, like, what? I'm on the men's side, or did I go to the wrong side, right? And I said, "What are you doing over here?" And she said, "Oh, well, all the power went out over on the other half of the complex, and we can't see in the girls' locker room and the showers and all that stuff." So she said, "I just came over here." I came back and was enrolled in the architecture program at the university, the master's program. Right in the middle of August, before a normal school year would start, a friend of mine who works with the LDS Church education system called me up and asked if he said, "I have to find someone to teach the LDS seminary class for a year." And I said, "Okay, well, I'll try to help you locate somebody." And he says, "No." He says, "I'm asking you if you would just come teach for a year. I just need a teacher for 1 year. You would teach like 2 or 3 classes." And I said, "Whoa, teaching? Are you kidding? I don't know anything about teaching, working with young kids. Are you serious? Man, I'm getting my architecture degree." And 3 days later, I called him back and says, "Okay, I will take a year out of my studies to help you, and I will do this teaching gig for you." After that year, I mean, it was such an eye-opening but rewarding experience for me. I thought, this is really cool, working with all these young people and you know, being able to shape and mold their minds and things like that. So I looked into getting an educator's license, teaching certificate, which required that I go back to the university for 1 more year. I already had my undergrad in music and German. I just had to take some education classes, which I did, got my certification, and then I landed a job here at Cypress High School.
I don't think that it was a surprise to us that Kerry was going to be a teacher. I believe that was an innate talent and gift that he has, and that's been proven over the years many, many times.
I don't think I ever did come to the conclusion that it was my path. I would say that I was exposed to it, and it opened up a second option for me that I wanted to explore. And I would say I only thought that because of the experiences I had with the kids in the classes that I was teaching. I got to be very close with some of those young people, and many of them had challenges and difficulties and struggles in their lives that they were able to talk to me about, and I hope I was able to help them. And I thought, this is really cool, making this connection with this other human being and interacting with that person and maybe making a difference for them.
Mr. Moore was talking to my dad one day, and my dad mentioned I played the piano. And so Mr. Moore's like, hey, I want to meet with her and I want to see what she can do. So I went after school one day. He gave me a piece of music I've never seen, and it was extremely hard. And I was like, I can't play this. And he's like, yeah, you can. So he gave me 2 minutes, and I tried it, and I sucked at it. But he still let me in. He's worked with me. He's let me in, and he's worked with me. He's helped me get better.
He has a deep love for music, but he has a deeper love for his students. I think Mr. Moore really likes to see the growth that his kids go through. I know many of my best friends are on choir and they do all the musical productions, and just to hear them talk about Mr. Moore, it's kind of they're talking about someone that's so too good to be true.
He knows how to work hard. He knows how to push you well without overbearing, without making you burst into tears. He knows how to push you well, how to really get you on track without being overbearing, and it really helps. I've seen so much development in not just me, but I've seen so much development in other people in my choir, in other people in our music theory class. He really knows how to help us move forward.
When I first met Mr. Moore, I thought he was a complete jerk. I actually remember coming into class, and I was a smart mouth back then. I mean, I still am. And he put me in my place really quick. And I wasn't used to that. I was used to getting a little bit of more slack from other teachers. And he called me out in front of the whole class. And I remember thinking, this guy's a jerk. And right after school, I went to the counseling office, and I tried to get out, and I couldn't. There wasn't a way, and I am so glad that I didn't, because it ended up being probably one of the greatest experiences I've had in my entire life.
He challenges, and some people take that as tough.
I think he's a teacher that you want to please, though. You want to work hard
Absolutely.
for. I mean, he's one of those that you do want to be proud of you.
Because you respect him.
Absolutely.
Because you respect him, and you want,
yeah.
And it wasn't just another class you sat in there for 45 minutes to an hour and a half. You just couldn't wait to get out of. You wanted to be there.
Soak up the knowledge.
Yeah.
I feel like I've got to push. I have got to push these students. And sometimes that push can seem like intimidation. But in actuality, it's just me saying, you have got so much potential, young person. I want to help you achieve that before you leave. So I will do everything that I can to get that student where they can be and help them discover their potential, or at least achieve greatness. See, my motto is it comes from the 12th Night. You know, I love Shakespeare. The guy's, he's got it together. And there's a line in the 12th Night where he says, some people are born into greatness, others achieve greatness, others have greatness thrust upon them. I love that achieve greatness concept, and that's what I go by. You are here in my classroom so that you can achieve greatness, and I'm here to help you achieve that greatness.
As far as I know, what he does is his standard is so high, and he does not compromise on his standards, but he still understands that he's dealing with students. He knows that the students have to learn, but the standard's still there. He makes sure that the kids understand what is expected of them, and that here's a level that they can reach if they put the work in, and he will not lower it. He doesn't buy into the ideal that we've got to reach down and pull up. He's telling the kids need to reach, and then he'll meet them halfway.
It's a tough love. It's you can do better than this, I expect more out of you. And it's something that made me work harder, not really be down, but if anything, just try to achieve the best for him. I wanted to do it for him because he encouraged me so much that I wanted to make him proud. It was sort of like a parent type feel.
Young people need to understand and learn that they can make a difference. I think it's too easy to sit back and see all the things happening on the world scene and say, you know, we're toast. I can't do anything about it.
Or it's not my problem.
Or it's not my problem, but in actuality, you know, we need to teach the young people to get involved politically and socially, and to let their voices be heard.
You can tell he really cares about the kids, wants them to be successful, spends a lot of time here, more than he gets paid for sure, after school doing musicals and practices.
My sophomore year, I didn't sign up to do any choir classes. And he actually approached me and said, "Why aren't you in my choir class?" Because he had heard that we were doing music and pursuing music in Nashville. So he knew what we were trying to do here. I was like, "Well, I'm not really into singing with choirs. I'm doing my thing with my sisters." And he goes, "I just want to encourage you." You know, he told me about the concert choir, madrigals, and you know, the difference. He goes, "Just come and try it." And I said, okay, I'll check it out. I ended up being in both choirs, and it really helped me strengthen my vocal range, because I didn't, and now you know, when we sing, I do a lot of the higher harmony. And he was the most supportive teacher of understanding what we were doing, because we were doing something unique that most kids weren't doing, or trying to start their career so soon in music. And he never complained. He was always supportive of what we did.
I see our choir as being just a little bit of a part of his family as well. Just because like how he cares with us and stuff, and the time he spends with us and everything. He's like my grandpa, but just like the love is there and you can feel it, and it's awesome.
His determination and motivation. He works hard with every kid. He doesn't give up on any kid. He works hard with every kid until they have what they need to have down. He works in his room for about hours after school, helping kids with whatever they need, whether it's for show choir or another class. He's just willing to help everyone.
That goes back to my thing. He genuinely loves the kids and wants to see them succeed in life. He wants them to, for lack of better words, he wants them to be a part of society and go out there and actually do stuff in society, and not be just a deadbeat, or just be someone who, you know, just gives up and doesn't try. He wants them to actually go out and be out in the communities and be with their families and do things. He wants to actually see people succeed.
He's built relationships, and he's opened doors and opportunities. There are a lot of kids who take his classes who see music careers as an option, who see, even if they're not going to do music as a career, they learn a lot more in terms of themselves and discipline and working with other students. I see students who don't fit in other programs succeed in his program, and they tend to, because of their association in his class, they tend to finish high school much stronger than a lot of them start.
There was something about the way he taught and the way he explained things that just spoke to me, and I got it. I walked out of there thinking,
gave you a boost of confidence.
Yeah, I can do this. That's what I love about Mr. Moore. He has the ability to be very intimidating, because he's so talented and so good at what he does. But he doesn't intimidate you. He will see you through. He will work on something till, you know, you die, until you get it right, if he needs to help you grow in an area. He's just really good at seeing something through. And I saw him work with so many challenging people.
Watching why he does teaching is to see kids learn and have a better self-esteem and do more than they thought they could do in this world. And that's the same thing that happens when you teach them to dance. All of a sudden you see them walking taller, and they're like, yeah, I can do this. I mean, it's great to see when kids perform.
I believe that Cypress puts on some of the best musicals because of who's behind them.
And
Stacey and Stacey. Yeah, I mean, they do.
Did not know I could dance. Until
Did-
I met this song. Did not know that.
The prima ballerina brought it out.
I didn't know how limber I was.
They're a great team. They really are.
They rock.
They took
They're the
musical
best.
theater at that school to a whole new level. You know, it's
Way beyond.
Yeah.
It was very professional because of them.
My wife, Stacy, was 24. She had just quit the ballet. She was a professional, a prima ballerina, if you will, or a principal dancer. And she was at the top of her game, if we can say it that way. Had been dancing with Ballet West for since she was 17. So 7 years she was dancing with Ballet West. People came to see her. She was that good.
You could definitely tell that she was a ballerina. I mean, is that what they call them, ballerina? A ballerina, and that she was incredible in her dances, because every time that I'd meet her, she would always be doing some type of a dance step or something, you know. And you could tell that she was really committed to what she was doing. It was very important to her.
While we were dating, we got stopped everywhere. We got stopped on the street, we got stopped in the stores. "You're Stacy Swanner." It's like, yeah, I am. But she was very humble about it.
I just had retired the year before. The stress was unbelievable. And I felt like I had already achieved most of the goals I'd set out for myself when I was younger, and the company and people I danced with, and I knew I was ready for my next stage of life, like to get married and have kids and all that.
Stacy has more energy in her pinky than we all do in our whole body. She always calls me Sweet Nugget. She's always so energetic and quirky. She is the sweetest lady in the whole world.
Oh, Stacy's always doing different things that kind of flirt with him when we're trying to learn choreography and he's wanting to do that. And he'll like tease her a little bit back, but tell her to like stop in their little language or whatever. But it's super cute. Their relationship goes all the way.
They understand each other, and they kind of, sometimes they have that mental click where they kind of get each other without having to use words, and Stacy just makes noises and Carrie's like, "Oh yeah, I got you, I like that." And I don't know how they do it, but they have a loving and understanding relationship, and I definitely want a relationship like that.
They are relationship goals. They seriously love each other so much, and they're so funny. They joke around with each other, but they are such a cute couple. She always spanks him. Just messing around.
They are one in this artistic vein that makes their marriage strong, and they depend upon each other.
As a kid, I always remember him just speaking so highly of her, and protective, and he only had good uplifting things to say. He wanted me to treat people with the same respect, and so I just remember him always talking about my mom in a very caring way. Yeah. And that was definitely a softer moment, or those were the softer moments that I remember.
What keeps us together?
You can't be a selfish dork. I mean,
okay.
a lot of these young people these days, it's all about me kind of thing, you know. But if you want to make a relationship last, you've got to make it about the other person more than about yourself.
He always taught us to move forward through diversity. The show must go on. That was always his big mantra, and he's proven that with his battle with cancer. Any other person would have been able to, I think, go home and get a free pass on that, but he moves forward. The show must go on.
I remember him passing out in the middle of, was it the very beginning of the performance? I don't know if we had even started. And I mean, as we know, it was not a good thing. The show must go on. I mean, he lived to that. I mean, he fought through that whole performance.
He passed out on stage?
Out. I mean, it was scary. And he tried to, not a big deal. And then we find out.
I started experiencing some really sharp pains that double me over and just send me in my abdomen, and went to some doctors, tried to figure it out. They had no idea what it was.
Finally, we found Dr. Sossenheimer, and he felt really confident with him. He was German. They would speak German together. And he said, "Hey, Stace, you know what? We'll do this MRI, designated MRI, and maybe we'll find something." And of course, well, who wants them to find anything? And sure enough, he comes home and he's like, "Oh, they found something."
A dedicated MRI of my midsection and found that there was a tumor in my pancreas.
It was, some time after, a couple weeks or a month, whatever, after that we finally realized that, because it was in the pancreas, that he wouldn't be around long. And at the time, My wife's dad had just passed away from pancreatic cancer. It didn't even last 6 months. So I figured I had at least 6 months.
And so in 2001, they did surgery on me, resected part of the pancreas, and took out the spleen and whatnot.
The pancreas is a really sensitive organ, and if you touch it, you can just become diabetic just by touching it. And here we're going to cut it in half. So, you know, there's that you have to sign away. And then also we need you to sign this about doing radiation, because the best way to do radiation is when you're open like this. Because I don't know if you heard back in those days when they did radiation through people, to get to your pancreas, they ruptured like their intestines and all these things. So I had to sign all this stuff before his surgery. And that was just really fun.
After about a year after that surgery, they did some further scans, said, "You're good to go. I think we got it all." And they didn't, because it reared its ugly head again in 2008.
So we go and see this awesome doctor, Dr. Ott, and he, poor man, he had to be the one to tell us that he was inoperable and not curable, and he had 3 to 4 months to live.
And of course, that was an emotional slam for my wife, who got very emotional and teary-eyed. And for me, it was just like, okay.
To see somebody in pain for so long, and then to sort of celebrate that things are going much better. For all we knew, the cancer was removed completely, and you know, we think things are going just fine. And then, you know, they say lightning never strikes in the same place twice. Wasn't really the case for my dad, I guess.
At first, I was just like, there's no way. I just thought there was no way.
I was very angry because I go, my dad's a healthy person. My dad's a good person. What did he do, not to deserve it, but what did he do wrong?
Where was your anger directed towards?
Well, of course everyone has trials with their faith. Is there really a life after this? Is there really a plan of why we're all here and what does it all mean? You know, like, yeah, you start blaming people. People you'd never think you'd blame.
You're not afraid of dying?
No, not at all. Faced it a couple times already. You know, you go when you go. I think there's more to our existence than just this earthly sphere that we're in. I believe that there is life beyond this. I know that there's life beyond this, and I look forward to that whenever it comes.
He has more to do. He's okay with dying, truly. I mean, if he didn't wake up tomorrow, he's okay with that. He's come to grips with all that and talked to the Lord, and he's fine with that, but he feels like there's more for him to do. There's more music to play. There's more to do with his grandkids. There's more to do with his kids. There's more to teach. There's more places for us to fly.
I haven't been angry. I haven't said, why me? I haven't said, you know, this sucks, which it does. But no, I mean, we're dealt a certain hand of cards, and we've got to play them. That's all there is to it. There are people out there who are suffering from much worse than I am.
What you see is a future. I see a future with my dad. I see him being with me when I get married. I see him being with me when I have kids. I see him being there till my kids get married. Like, I see these things and I'm like, they're gonna happen now that my dad is cured. Then you hear he's sick again. It's all over his body again. Like last time it was all over different organs. Same thing again. Now he's got one on his kidney. One wrapped around his aorta that's restricting it, and it could kill him just from that. And that's why they gave him a few months to live. And then all of a sudden, I'm immediately back to that moment when I got to see him after surgery the first time. And I saw my dad with a tube down his throat, and he wasn't able to really be coherent. He was out of it. He couldn't do anything for himself, which for him, that is not something he wants. He does not like people helping him. He likes to take care of himself. And I immediately went there and I thought, my dad's not going to be there for the rest of my life. Like, he's not going to see my kids. He's not going to see me get married. He's not. That's immediately what I thought.
When we went back to tell our kids, Dane was 19, just barely turned 19, and he was supposed to be leaving in 2 months. He said, no, I'm still going to go on my mission. And he and his dad and I were just bawling and keep talking like we're talking about groceries, you know. And he's like, no, I'm going. And hopefully you and Dad will be blessed, you know, me going, making this sacrifice and going on this mission. And we're like, okay, if that's what you really, really want to do, we're behind you. And so Carrie didn't start any treatment until Dane left, to not make the decision harder for him, because they didn't think it was going to work, but they were hoping it would put it in remission, so maybe he'd still be alive when his dad got home. When Dane got home. And so he waited till the day after Dane left, and we started chemo.
It was so powerful that the nurses had to wear like hazmat suits, you know, because if any of that got on them, it's very poisonous. So here they are, filling me with this poison, and crazy enough, the tumors were not disappearing, shrinking, going away. They were still growing. So that wasn't working. And so after 3 months of that, I said, I'm done. I'm not doing this any longer. And that was in August of '08. They started me in April of '08. And I said, I can't do this anymore. I'd rather die than continue to shove this poison in me and everything's still growing.
He thought, I went through all that and I have ringing in my ears, I have no hair, I have no taste, I hurt everywhere, sores all over, and nothing worked. It actually grew during that time. I
searched all through the internet and I found a doctor whose name was attached to this type of pancreatic cancer that I've got. And he was located in Beverly Hills at Cedars-Sinai Hospital.
It's a huge hospital. A lot of people are like, why are you going there? Isn't Huntsman good enough? And I've got to say right now, Huntsman is great. Huntsman's just smaller, Salt Lake's smaller. Hollywood has a lot of money. So they just have more opportunities to have more research going on.
My wife called and the doctor said, send me down all of his medical history, which was rather thick, numerous pages, but she faxed it all down to him. He called back later that evening and he said, get down here tomorrow morning, I want to see you right away. So we jumped in the car and we drove all night long and got down there to Beverly Hills in California. Saw the doctor. We were with him for about 8 hours that day. And make a long story short, he convinced us that I should get on a study for a trial drug, an experimental drug. And I took that for several years. I would have to commute back and forth between Salt Lake and LA once, sometimes twice a month to visit with the doctor, do the blood work, the labs, and to get my drug down there. After a while, several months, it showed improvement. My pancreatic tumors were shrinking to almost half their size.
It's taking a toll on his body. I mean, he can't smell, so things taste different to him. So sometimes he can't even taste it. Like, I try and overload with spices and stuff so he can taste what he's eating, but he doesn't get to enjoy food anymore. He can't taste it. He has ringing in his ears constantly.
Every once in a while he'll say that he's really worn out after a treatment, but you don't see it in the class. I've never had a parent or a student or anyone say, boy, Mr. Moore just is sitting in his chair. He just doesn't have the energy. In fact, sometimes I tell him he needs to take a day off. That, you know, after a treatment or something, he needs to take a break, but he'll always respond, no, I've got to prepare for festival, or I've got a concert, or I've got something else coming up. And I can't get the guy to take a day off.
I don't think his students ever know that he is as sick as he is, and they only know that he's there and he does his job and he cares for them, he loves them. When we have talked to him about maybe retiring, he said, and then I'll just sit home and think about being sick. I'd rather go out there and do and find the joy in teaching than retiring.
When he would be out, it would just be a constant, is he okay? You know, like, is he okay? Is he coming back? And I remember whenever he felt weak, I just wanted to go harder. Just because he's not gonna be going hard on me, he shouldn't have to yell at me, I should just have to yell at myself for him, you know?
This year, Mr. Moore was telling us at the beginning of the year that he was going through treatment, so he might lose his hair, which he hasn't. He's had a good hair day every single day. And I always ask him every single day, how are you feeling, Mr. Moore? And he's like, just peachy. So he doesn't ever show that he's having a bad day.
I have a huge deal of respect towards him because he's still doing what he does with the trials that he's going through, and how he's come a long way with what he's also going through. It's just amazing how he can do that and deal with all of his problems at the same time.
When Kerry would go to California to get his treatments done in Beverly Hills, he would do things to pass the time, to get his mind off of what he was doing. And there's a couple of things that Kerry liked to do. Kerry's a people watcher. He loves to go somewhere and sit. In his circumstance, it was mostly Disneyland.
Yeah, I've been there so many times that I know every inch of that place, practically. And that's because I have a wife who's addicted to Disney and Disneyland. She loves the Disney movies. She loves everything about Disneyland. I mean, there was a time where we had premium passes to Disneyland and Disney World at the same time, and we were just flying from coast to coast, just going there. And you know, I believe in happy life, or happy wife, happy life, right? So I just tag along. Is it the place I would want to go all the time? No.
He's been so many times that rides aren't so thrilling, so he has found ways to entertain himself.
Hit up Space Mountain. You always gotta hit up that one.
Yeah, no, he's always enjoyed a good old Space Mountain, but Dad loves photography, and he'll take his camera, he'll people watch, and if he sees somebody that is one of a kind, he'll snap a shot of him. And
yeah, well, come on. When you go to Disneyland for your 6,000th and first time, what is there to captivate your attention? You've ridden all the roller coasters a million times. You've eaten at every single snack bar and restaurant that they've got. You've seen every parade a gajillion times. I could go out there and do all the moves for you. What is there to captivate your attention? So I love photography, and I bring my nice cameras with me and I start shooting away. And today I'm gonna shoot people's feet, whatever, people that are wearing pink, just for fun, you know, and trying to get a picture of a person at Disneyland without them knowing that you're getting that picture, that's a trick.
He'll fill up entire SD cards of just
or he would send
people.
us text message pictures and be like, guess where I am? And it'd be like the zoomed in so close, it's like a tile on a floor, and you're like, the bathroom? I don't know where you are. Like,
that was a fun game.
I'm over here. And
Kerry's kind of a badass. He's one of those people that, I mean, he's not this big, strong guy, but his persona, he might as well be a freaking bodybuilder. He's the kind of person that you'd be around and you'd go and pick a fight because you know if you got in any kind of confrontation, Kerry'd be able to handle himself. And I joked with him throughout my high school experience, and I said, man, you always remind me of John Wayne off of Cowboys, where he says, I've had a broken back, 2 broken hips, and on my worst day, I could still beat the hell out of you. That always reminded me of Kerry, that stubbornness that he has. He is just a rock. He's intimidating, even now, 10 plus years, 15 plus years after high school, he can still be intimidating. He can still slip back into that. So
I can joke to this day with Mr. Moore. He really does have a very dry, fun sense of humor.
Yes. Did you ever study abroad?
I did, but I'm not going to tell you her name.
Yes.
Having my dad at school, I couldn't always be myself, which may not be the best version of myself. With my friends, high school kids, we have a language sometimes that we don't want our parents hearing, and he caught me a couple times. One time coming right around the corner, and I got the look of death, did you just say that? My precious daughter just said the A word.
I get up every morning and go to school hoping that I will influence somebody for good, that I will touch somebody for good, that I will help somebody. But at the end of the day, I don't sit and take stock and say, who might that have been? I don't. I just hope that I do every day.
We are happy for Kerry, with Kerry, and all that he has done and he has achieved. It's an inner satisfaction to a parent to know that your children carry on traditions of music, of sports, of bringing up children themselves that are interested in the good in the world.
I just want to say thank you for helping me grow as a person and as a musician, because when I first came to high school, I knew nothing. I knew a little bit about where notes were and what a flat was and a sharp was, but he helped me progress more as a musician, and he helped my voice grow, and he helped me grow, and I just would like to say thank you so much for being one of my best friends and being the greatest mentor that I've ever had.
My favorite thing, his friendship. His friendship. I mean, I'd go to bat for him any day because he does that for me.
I would have to thank him and tell him, there's no one like him. And he will be that one teacher that has taught me so much that I'll never forget.
He definitely has shaped my musical path, my musical direction. I respect him so much. I've learned so much from him. I don't think I could ever thank him enough for what he's done for us, and how good of a friend he's been to our family, and just what a remarkable, talented human being he is. And we're all just better people for knowing him. I would not want to say goodbye. I just would not want to say goodbye. So I don't think I would. I don't think I would say goodbye. I'd say, see you on this other side.
I knew you were going to say that.
See you on the other side.
Oh, God, I'm saying that now.
Yeah.
I want to thank him for not making me choose between music and sports. And like I said, him working with me, that was a very pivotal point in my life in choosing what path I wanted to go down, and seeing the big picture for me and believing in me, and I mean, that's what you want from a teacher, to believe in you, and he did, and he made me feel it. So that's what I would say.
I would say thank you to his family first and foremost.
For sharing him with all of us.
For sharing him with all of us.
Love their family.
And as much grief as he gave me over the years, when I got to actually be taught by him and work with him as a grown-up, I mean, I wasn't grown up, but I thought I was. He really treated me like I didn't miss a beat. Like, you know, he didn't give me a hard time. And I remember, you know, on some of the things we worked on with him, he has an ability to describe everything for me, it would have been in layman's terms. Okay. And I appreciated the patience that he had with me. And, you know, for the most part, I appreciated him being a friend to me. And I think because I got to know him as an adult, you know, I wasn't a kid in class. It was, I don't know, I felt, kind of gave me like this little, you know, I just kind of wanted to stand up a little taller because he treated me like an equal.
He is such a staple to this school, and everybody loves him. Everybody looks to him for advice. He is a leader, you know, and his experience is valued.
A few years that I was with him, it was really hard because my parents didn't approve. They didn't approve of me dancing, didn't approve of me singing. They thought I was wasting my time for no reason and that I could be at home doing something productive in their minds. So it was just really hard trying to get to the place, trying to get to California, trying to get that fundraiser going. And if anything, he helped me out the most. And him as well as all my performing arts teachers just encouraged me when I didn't have parents. That's why he became the parent for me. Him and my two other teachers became the family that I needed while I didn't have one.
The man who never gave up and showed everybody they can do anything they need to, no matter what's happening in their life.
I would probably just sincerely let him know that he's had a huge impact on this community. When you talk to other people, you will find parents and their kids and even the grandparents who have personal relationships with Carrie. If you come to a concert we have here, you'll always see alumni show up if it's a Carrie Moore concert or musical or something else that he's in charge of, because they're so invested in what he's done. He's had such an impact on them personally. So I would make sure that he really understood that he's had an enormous impact that doesn't end when he leaves.
I think he needs the kids as much as they need him. I definitely tell him thanks.
It seems to have been in Carrie's life that life is 10% of what has happened to him and 90% of the way he's reacted to it. And there, in fact, is where you get creating ripples. He has taken that way of thinking and spread that out to all of the very many people's lives that he has touched. And I can't think of anything better to leave behind than a legacy that of love and fortitude and perseverance.
My dad is my hero, hands down. There's nobody else in the world I look up to more, or who I emulate more. I've said a lot, but you know, I've done the things that he did growing up. Going to college at the U, studying music education, learning the German language. Like, we just get along on so many different levels, and he's the man. He's Superman.
Say thank you for just keep trying, because I know it's not any fun, and you could take the easy way, and you could go home to your Heavenly Father and be received with open arms. And I'm so grateful every day that you stay here every day and try that much harder as it gets harder and harder to be with me and to be with your kids and to be with your grandkids and make memories and change kids' lives and keep to your promise that you wouldn't leave me. That's what I thank him for.
It's not how you say it, it's just what you say. It's not how you play it, it's just that you play. Different faces, same places. You're the one who stays. Look what 33 seasons, so much to hold. 33 reasons for a story to be told. Pluck and pedal, worn out metal. The music never stops. Oh, look what you've done. You've shared yourself with everyone. Look at the proof. Piece by piece, it starts with you. It's never done, never done. Your life breaks, your life gives, your life breaks, your life gives. You needed me, and I needed someone like you. Look what you have done. You've shared yourself with everyone. Look at the proof. Piece by piece, it starts with you. Your life gives life. Your life breathes life. Your life moves life. Your life gives life. Your life breathes life. Your life moves life. Your life gives life. Your life. You're never done. If you wake up wishing you could go back to sleep, and the water is rising and it's muddy and wide and deep, and nothing that you ever do seems to be okay, you're just trying to make it through to another sunlit day. I'll try to do my part, and you can do yours. I'll try to do my part and a little more. If you've given your love and never gotten any back, you're just skipping sidewalks, afraid of falling through the cracks, wondering if you'll ever be the best at anything, hoping that you'll write the perfect song to sing. I'll try to do my part, and you can do yours. I'll try to do my part and a little more. So the world has beaten your heart into the ground, and your soul's not far behind, and it's a long way down. Someone once had this little talk with me. Here are the words, you find the melody.
Thank you for the best 36 years of my life. You were a part of it, and you helped me become the person that I am. Thanks for the great memories. Oh, let's see, wasn't that a Bob Hope line? Thanks for the memories. Yeah, I would just tell them thank you so much, because seriously, this has been the greatest gig that I could imagine. And I think back, what would I be like right now if I were an architect? What if I were par with Frank Lloyd Wright? Would I be happy? Would I be as happy as I am right now? I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I created some great buildings that people admire from afar or work in, but I don't think I could have duplicated the kind of joy and happiness that I have personally from the thousands of students and parents and people that I've encountered and come in contact with these past years.